Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to getting genuinely well-informed, always with some surprising facts and hopefully just enough humor to keep you listening.
That's the goal.
Today, we're doing something a bit different. We're not just looking at sources, we're exploring the incredible legacy of someone who really challenged how we think about justice and kindness.
A really unique figure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On August 20th, 2025, the world said goodbye to Judge Frank Caprio, who many knew as the world's nicest judge.
Yeah.
And this deep dive, it isn't just about his passing. It's really about what he left behind, the huge impact he had on, well, millions, and the lessons that feel more important now than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's unpack this. A man who genuinely changed how many of us view authority and compassion. Our mission today, to understand not just what he did, but how he managed it, how he touched so many lives, and what his unique take on the law means for you.
And it's really fascinating, when you look at the research, the sources on Judge Caprio, how this one person's very personal philosophy could, well, break out of a courtroom.
Right. Beyond the legal world.
Exactly. And ripple out, touching people across so many different cultures, different languages. It's quite amazing. His story, our materials, really show this. It resonated on such a deep human level.
It really did.
It showed this universal desire, maybe, for a certain kind of justice. He didn't just judge, he connected. And that connection, I think, that's the core of why he became this global phenomenon.
Connect he did. So let's lay the groundwork. Who exactly was Judge Frank Caprio?
Wow.
We know the basics, right?
Yeah.
He was the chief judge, Providence Municipal Court in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Dealing with, traffic tickets, city ordinance stuff.
Minor infractions, mostly, yeah.
Not usually the path to global fame. But then came his online show, Caught in Providence. Suddenly, his courtroom was everywhere.
A role. Completely viral.
He showed us real cases, real people.
Yeah.
But in a way that felt different. He wasn't just applying the law, was he?
Yeah.
He was reading people, their stories, their struggles. And that's where, for me, it gets really interesting. Mm-hmm. His philosophy, it sounds simple, but it was so powerful. Justice should be fair, it should be kind, and it absolutely must be human.
And that word human, that's so central, isn't it? The sources we looked at, they show that, yes, chief judge was his title, but he was so much more.
Yeah, family.
He was a teacher. He taught high school for years, a community figure, and really a role model driven by compassion.
So it wasn't just an act for the cameras.
No, absolutely not. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, like you said, his approach wasn't revolutionary in, say, changing laws or legal precedents. He worked within the system.
Using the discretion he had.
Exactly. Especially in municipal court dealing with these often minor violations, there's actually quite a bit of discretion. He didn't rewrite the law books. He rewrote the sort of emotional experience of being in court.
That's a great way to put it.
And the shift, balancing the letter of the law with, well, empathy. That's why it grabbed the world's attention. He showed that a simple, humane approach can sometimes be more powerful than complex legal arguments, especially when seemingly small things have huge personal impacts.
You're so right about those personal impacts. And for those of us listening, trying to figure out how to be more empathetic or just wondering how things could work differently.
Yeah.
Judge Caprio left us some really clear examples.
Tangible principles, yeah.
We've kind of distilled his methods into 5 key pillars. Let's call it his humane justice. These really jump out from the sources. So what does this mean for you listening? It means looking at these practical ideas that shaped his legacy. Not just ideas, but things you can actually think about.
Indeed. These 5 pillars, they give us a good framework for understanding his impact. And maybe more importantly, they offer principles we can potentially apply ourselves, in everyday life, not just in a courtroom. Let's dive in.
Okay, first one. Compassion over condemnation. This was huge for him. Mm-hmm. He truly believed everyone standing there had a story, a background, a reason.
Right. He looked beyond the ticket, beyond the infraction.
He didn't just look at what they did. He looked at the person. Instead of just handing out punishment, he listened, really listened with patience and open mind and genuine feeling. But wasn't there a risk there, like being seen as too soft, undermining the law? How did he square that compassion with holding people accountable?
That's the critical question, right? And that's where his wisdom really came through. The sources, even interviews with him, show he wasn't just letting people off. It was more like, well, a kind of restorative justice within the existing system.
Interesting.
For instance, we see so many clips where he forgives fines or cuts them way down, not because he was weak, but because he saw the barriers people faced, the immediate hardships.
Like that story about the single mother.
Exactly. That's a classic example. Late for court, sick child, doctor visit. Instead of adding another charge, he waived her fines. He even said something like, "I could never fine you for that. God bless you."
Wow.
He believes she wouldn't reoffend. Her daily struggles were already punishment enough. It shows that understanding someone's situation can be more powerful, more just than a blind penalty.
So it wasn't about excuses, but context.
Precisely. Understanding root causes, using discretion where it could actually help, prevent more hardship, not just punish. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often do we truly listen before we judge? In our jobs, with our families? He was just a masterclass in empathetic listening. The results, transformative for the people involved.
Such a powerful way to operate. And that flows right into the second pillar, law with a human face. He really demonstrated that the law isn't just this abstract thing, cold rules and penalties.
It's about people, real lives.
Exactly. Real families, real futures. His courtroom, remarkably, became more than just a place for legal stuff. But how did you do that? How did he make a formal, often scary place feel so human without losing its authority?
That's key, isn't it? He had this masterful control. It wasn't just this imposing, punitive place. It became somewhere people felt, well, seen, heard.
Less intimidating.
Definitely. Humor often broke the tension, and crucially, it was a place of hope. The sources mention how he'd engage with defendants, their families, even kids, acknowledging their humanity.
I remember seeing clips like that.
Yeah. That famous one where the little boy helps decide his dad's parking fine. It wasn't disrespecting the law. It was showing justice could be administered with empathy, even a bit of joy. It made the whole thing less traumatic, more humanizing.
It changes your whole perception of what a court could be.
Right. It challenges that traditional view, moving beyond just punishment towards an environment where people feel respected, which, psychologists might say leads to more respect for the system itself. It's about restoring and supporting, not just condemning.
Okay, pillar 3. Dignity for everyone. This was so consistent with him. Didn't matter who you were.
Rich, poor, young, old.
Respected community member or someone really struggling. He treated everyone with this unwavering respect. He saw the inherent worth in every single person. But, the system itself can sometimes strip people of dignity, especially when they're accused of something. Did he ever face challenges with this? Critics saying maybe it went too far.
It's a fair question, but his actions really answered it. We couldn't find any credible sources criticizing him for overstepping here, because his dignity-first approach wasn't about excusing behavior.
It was about seeing the person.
Exactly. He understood that losing dignity often makes problems worse. People shut down. By extending respect, he created safety. People felt they could be honest about their situation.
So it wasn't just being nice, it served a purpose.
Absolutely. There are accounts of him gently guiding people who struggled to explain themselves, not cutting them off or shaming them. This consistent dignity, regardless of who they were or what they did, sent a powerful message. Everyone deserves basic respect, even when they've messed up.
And that resonates everywhere, doesn't it?
Universally. It speaks to that fundamental human need for respect. It suggests even when correcting someone, we can uplift them, not diminish them.
Which brings us to the 4th pillar. Small acts, big impact. This is where you see so many of those viral moments people love.
The ones that really got shared.
Yeah, it wasn't about huge gestures or changing laws. It was the seemingly small kindnesses he showed. But together, they inspired millions. These weren't just random nice moments. They showed his whole philosophy at work.
Can you give us some more examples? And why did these small things have such a huge impact?
Absolutely. And the brilliance is because they were small and unexpected in court. They hit so hard. We mentioned the single mother.
And those times, he'd ask a kid to help decide the parent's fine, often leading to dismissal, big relief all around.
Kids loved him.
They did. There's also that touching story of the elderly man, confused, distressed about a parking ticket. Caprio didn't just process it. He took time, talked to him, understood, and then waived the fine with real compassion.
That's more than just following procedure.
Exactly. These weren't just charity. They were, you could say, strategic empathy. Sources suggest that these gestures created the sense of fairness and goodwill that rigid proceedings often miss.
Makes sense.
Think about it. Behavioral economics tells us feeling fairly treated boosts trust and authority. These moments showed kindness isn't just nice, it's contagious, builds trust, and can actually change things one interaction at a time. He proved profound human connection is possible even in formal settings, and those connections ripple outwards.
And that leads us beautifully to the fifth and final pillar, the one that kind of wraps it all up. Justice rooted in love. If you boil down Judge Caprio's entire philosophy, the sources suggest at its core was love. Love for humanity, for his community, a deep love for fairness, but love. That's not a word you usually hear in relation to the law, is it?
No, it definitely isn't. Cold, hard logic is usually the image.
Right. So how did he actually integrate love into his rulings?
Yeah.
As a principle, not just, a feeling.
And that's the provocative genius of it. For him, love in court wasn't about being sentimental. It was about seeing the potential for good, for rehabilitation, for the community's well-being in every single person.
So future-focused.
Exactly. The sources imply his love meant being committed to positive outcomes, not just punishing the past. He saw legal issues as chances to support and redirect, not just enforce.
How did that look in practice?
It meant trying to find solutions that kept families together, helped people keep jobs, got them access to resources, instead of just hitting them with the maximum penalty. He'd often encourage defendants finish school, find stable work, framing it as good for everyone.
Seeing the bigger picture.
He constantly reminded us that when law and love work together, not against each other, but as complements, that's when you get true justice. It lifts the whole process beyond just rules into an act of, communal care, fostering rehab, understanding. His courtroom showed it's possible and incredibly effective for building a more just, more empathetic society.
So we've looked at who he was, these 5 pillars. Let's zoom out again. Why did this message resonate so powerfully everywhere?
Yeah, the global reach.
He really became this global phenomenon. From Providence, Rhode Island, to basically every corner of the internet. Why him? Why did this specific judge from this municipal court get such huge traction? It wasn't just entertainment. It felt like profound lessons in humanity shared across all sorts of cultures.
It's a critical question. And looking at the online engagement, the media coverage, a few things stand out. First, the format.
Caught in Providence.
Yeah, short, digestible clips, perfect for going viral. Second, and maybe more importantly, in a world that often feels so divided, so cynical about institutions, Judge Caprio's message was this powerful reminder that empathy, compassion, these things unite us. The authenticity was undeniable. His reactions felt real, unscripted. His empathy, his humor, it cut through.
It felt different from typical court shows.
Totally different.
Yeah.
It was a hopeful alternative to the usual rigid, impersonal justice we see in media. One study we saw highlighted how viewers, no matter their background, connected with the raw human emotion, the relief, the tears, the laughter. His specific approach, authentic, human, just bypassed the usual filters and connected directly with people's hearts. It proved fundamental human values are understood, appreciated everywhere. It cut through the noise.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear Judge Frank Caprio's legacy is so much more than just rulings or viral videos.
Much more.
It's really a blueprint, isn't it, for how we can all interact with the world. He showed us compassion isn't weakness, it's a strength. Dignity isn't a privilege, it's a birthright. And even within rigid systems, humanity can and should win out.
Beautifully put.
His central message, for you listening, for all of us, it seems simple, but it's profound. Be kind, be fair, be human.
And this is where it becomes personal, right? Every time we choose compassion instead of criticism, patience instead of anger, love instead of indifference, we're honoring his memory. We're living those principles he championed.
It keeps his spirit alive.
Exactly. His legacy isn't just about his courtroom. It's really an invitation he extended to you, to all of us, to bring these principles into our own everyday lives. Think about the small acts of kindness you see, or the ones you could initiate.
The patient word.
An understanding look, really listening for a moment. What small act of kindness might you perform today? In honor of the judge who showed us just how powerful that can be. And maybe, just maybe, start to reshape your own little corner of the world. It's definitely something worth thinking about. It's through those individual acts that his kindness lives on and keeps making a difference.